All right, all right. We are in Belmar at the Grit Won't Quit studio this morning, and we have a special guest. We have Mark, who traveled an hour and a half from Gloucester County, New Jersey. Anyone that doesn't know where Gloucester County, New Jersey is, it's at the bottom of the state. It's the boot, if you will, and it's on closer to Delaware and Pennsylvania than it is to Belmar, New Jersey. But thank you for coming in today.
Thank you for having me. It's great
And you
to be
have
here.
three different things. You're a hustler by trade. You are an entrepreneur at heart. You have three different businesses that you work in, and you do sales for, and you own. And we're going to get into them. So let's start right out. So entrepreneur at heart. Three different things you're doing. Is it that you love the hustle?
Yeah, you bet. Absolutely.
So what gets you motivated in the morning? What gets you up and running? What do you like doing the best?
Well, I'll tell you, out of the three, I'll tell you, I like real estate the best.
And that's the newest of the careers.
It is.
So from when you filled out and we talked, there was a little bit of a struggle to get to become a realtor.
Absolutely. There's some hills to climb and some rough roads to travel, but it's always worth it.
What happened?
Well, I failed the test 6 times, and I studied a lot. And it took a lot to retain that information. Mm-hmm. But every time, I paid, $45, and I just kept taking the test because I have a vision of where I wanted to go. And
sure.
Real estate's definitely the path.
And now, which firm are you working with there?
So I'm with Keller, Washington Township.
Excellent. And that's a great, reputable firm. They have a lot of offices all over the country, so that's great. And so you've been there doing that about a year now?
Yeah, I've had my license for a year. I used to work health insurance prior to that.
You didn't like that?
No, not at all. It was just something the morality of that industry is just not even there. It doesn't exist.
When you think about health insurance and selling health, you were selling it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, listen, I have a company and I have to pay health insurance every month.
Yep.
And my guys are on a plan and it's a lot of money. So, you don't win when you go to a company and you're like, oh, I got a health plan for you.
Right.
You're like, in my mind, it's like a necessary evil. Like, it's like getting a colonoscopy. You got to get one.
It's got to happen.
But you really don't want it.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And and then you go to the doctor and they go, we don't
take this insurance. Yeah. Oh, this is out of pocket, out of market, out of this.
And then you're like, hey, that agent didn't say that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I've only had 2 agents over. I've been offering health insurance probably for about 8 years now, and I have had 2 agents, and thankfully they both have been good. But I've had my friends have told me or other business owners about debacles that have happened, and even one time they wouldn't talk. Blue Cross wouldn't talk to me because my our office manager had their name on the paperwork, and so I called up and I said, I'm the guy who pays the bill every month. How do you not talk to me? I called back 2 minutes later and just used the other person's name and
that's all
got through. But it was bizarre. It had to be about 5 or 6 years ago. We had a kid with type 1 diabetes, and there was some issue, and the kid couldn't get his medicine. He was a young guy, and I was like, you got to do something. You have to do something.
Yeah, there has to be some sort of action. You bend it a little bit,
Figure it, they're so rigid, though.
Yeah. They are, and I've had things that I've ran into in that industry that, brought everything into question.
Yeah.
Like I had this one person I was dealing with that, we ended up phoning her up and we said, look, we have this health insurance. We saw your inquiry. She made it very clear that she needs a low cost plan with, great coverage, because she had a feeding tube and she had a very particular sort of formula that she takes. She had, stomach issues. So I quoted her one plan. It was a $0 plan. I couldn't care less. I figure, look, I'm going to die one day. I can't take any of this. So I better do right. So I quoted her a $0 plan. I got in trouble for that. They were like, you're not going to make us any money. You're not going to make any money on this. And I'm like, look, that's fair. I get it. It's a business. But just this one time, can we do this? They were like, no. So I did it anyway. But yeah.
That's okay. I mean, you got to question who you're working with there.
That was the moment I realized
something like that. You're like, all right, we really just have to do this, but here we are. Mm. So you don't like that. You decide real estate, and now you're helping with doing solar sales too. Mm-hmm. And how do you like that?
That is a challenging industry, which I like personally because I think that kind of builds, the character of a person.
Why is that a challenging industry?
So I'm doing commercial and farm solar. I do a little bit of residential, but I generally send that stuff out. But it's challenging because you have to get to the owner of the building, the owner of the business. You have to speak with them. We have to actually do up their proposal ourselves, and all the numbers and all that fun stuff, breaking down the electric bill, from soup to nuts. And
I looked at solar at my building, in my other building down. I don't know. You wouldn't have no idea where it is, but it's 15 minutes away. I looked at it a while back, and the whole thing with the SREX, it's like a whole math formula to that.
Oh yeah, it's so intricate and complex, and some solar companies, they try to simplify it, which leads to a lot of people feeling misled, which is why I had left a prior company because of that reason. But the SREX are I think fantastic, because if you're producing more than your house is using, you're in the green.
Yep.
You're good. And I'd rather have a check instead of a bill any day, personally.
Totally. And you've been doing that for 3 years?
Yeah, I've been doing, so I started residential. I was with a place called the Solar Exchange back in the day. And that was just a call center, and we just got on the phone and bang, 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 just bang out calls all day. It was all right for a younger guy. And after that, I moved on to commercial, where I can kind of freelance it. I don't have to show up at the office, and I just turn up at a business and I say, look, here's the proposal. Give me the electric bill and I'll get the numbers for you and we'll sort it out. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, whatever. We part ways as friends.
Yep.
And that's what I really like about commercial solar.
Yeah.
Also, people are a little bit more receptive to it as a business owner, because if you knock doors, bam, the door's in your face. But commercial's fun.
Quick break from the episode. Our sponsor for this episode is Worldwide Title, serving the New Jersey area and more. Christina, Debbie, and team are the best. To check them out, visit myworldwidetitle.com. And then you also have a similar business to Wingman, and you do graphic design work.
I do.
And so tell us about that. How long have you been doing that?
That I've been doing for just about 10 years now. That's Easy Street Graphics, my own company, and I'm a very creative type of person. I love to just make art, and I'm on, music and graphics and all that stuff. But I've been doing that for quite some time now.
And what's the best, what's your main focus on that side of the house?
For graphics, I kind of go everywhere. So it's focused on album covers. I've been doing a lot of logos for bands, but in the past I've done work for Ford and Toyota. I've designed certain promotional items for them.
How'd you get in with them?
Oddly enough, so I used to work there years ago at Toyota of Runnymede, and one of the guys over there was like, hey, I heard him talking. He's like, look, our graphic design is getting really expensive. And I was like, well, guess what?
I do graphics.
I do graphics. What's your rate? And they were like, oh, it's, X and Y. It was actually crazy expensive for what graphics are. So I said, well, what do you need? I'll do it, for a reasonable price. And then I was the graphics guy,
That's pretty cool. And then how'd you get into the other?
For Ford?
Yeah.
So that same guy that worked there years later moved on to Ford. And he said, well, now I need promo items for here.
So you're a great that guy was a great lead
Yeah, he was
for you.
awesome. Yeah, he's great.
Say to him, you got to go to another company now. Go to Toyota and Lexus together, Ford. Go to Jaguar. Go to BMW.
Yeah. Go see, can you go work there for me?
Can you go to Land Rover?
That would be a great
client. That would be a good customer for you. That's pretty cool. So how do you, when you take your day, how do you break it up so that when you're doing three things, now it sounds like you have control of all three of them, and it sounds like you might like that control and the flexibility of the schedule.
Absolutely. So,
real estate is kind of, you have a flexible schedule. You have the commercial solar, which you said is, you're really just kind of meeting business owners, and the graphic design is kind of, on your terms too. So how do you, you wake up in the morning, and how do you know what you're doing?
It depends on a couple of factors. I have a time block thing that I kind of abide by. Usually, but some days they call for a little bit more urgency in one industry versus the other. And certain things, sometimes real estate stuff might take the whole day. Sometimes it might take a couple hours if I just have to follow up and there's paperwork processing. And other times, if I'm like, okay, well, today's a day where I really need to buckle down and do some solar stuff. So I get up, I go out all day, and I try to meet with business owners and collect bills and, sort out what I can. Graphics, or just something I put myself out there. I'm like, look, this is what it is. You need graphics. Here I am. Done.
Yep.
That's the one that's kind of taken a backseat
Mm-hmm.
to real estate and solar. But that's all right because that's something it doesn't cost me anything.
No.
I pay a $7 subscription for the graphics for software I use. That's about it.
So there's really nothing to it. So,
Honestly,
yeah.
I make sure that whatever's most urgent, what needs to be done, gets done. And everyone's always happy. So I guess I might be doing something right.
There you go. And now, where do you see this kind of going as time goes on? I mean, you're still so new into the real estate game, but like, how do you see yourself? Where do you see you see yourself staying in 3 businesses, or you see yourself kind of focusing on one or the other?
I would love to take real estate like full time as one of those guys,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm so new to the industry that if you bring up my name, I'll go, "Who the hell is that?
Yep.
Who's that guy?" And then
Real estate's hard to break into.
Absolutely.
We've had a couple of realtors on over the time, and there's some guys that are doing well. There's some guys that are doing part-time. These 2 young guys were on back a few months ago, and they're like 18 and 19 years old. So, like, this is what they're doing. And I think by the time they're 23, 24, they're going to have a great book of business
I agree.
for the rest of their life.
Yep.
Like, I wish, you go back in time, you wish I thought of that. Like, put the real work in now and let the rewards reap. And they seem to understand that. I hope that they stay true to it, because it's hard at the beginning. It's hard not having a client base. It's not it's a tough market out there. You have limited. Do you have an inventory problem where you guys are?
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it.
So everybody's got an inventory problem. It sounds like.
Yeah.
It's weird because it's just there's not a lot of houses for sale.
No, honestly, and the ones that are for sale are obviously a bit grossly overpriced, And then I've seen some crazy things. I mean, like I said, I had my license for a year, practicing for 6 months, and in the last 6 months, I've seen some of the most preposterous things that I'm just like, why would you list that?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, here's a funny story.
Yeah.
The other day, I did a showing for a client, and what happened was, the place was listed. He he's into mobile homes and that, and the place is $50K. Reasonable enough for a mobile home, but let me tell you, we walked in there. The first thing that happened is I couldn't get the door to open with the key. When I finally did, I leaned in. I got a face full of spider web.
No.
Yep, it was inside. I was like, oh, that's terrible. And if you add a little bit of panko, it'll be all right. But yeah.
Well played. I mean, that's gross. You go into some weird places too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I find myself in very weird situations.
Yeah, like you got to be like, oh shit, this again.
Yeah. You walk into somewhere and it's just like you do so many showings and there's a familiarity that comes, where you're like, I know what's coming. When I open this door, I know what's behind this door.
Do they have notes in the system that tell you like anything weird?
Yeah. Like every once in a while, you'll see some remarks that were made like by the listing agent. It'll be like haunted. No, it won't say haunted, but like it'll say like, oh, be careful, there's a dog here or something like that. And that's the weirdest. But what's really bizarre? The things they don't mention. When you go there.
Totally. I could totally see this.
Yep.
That's funny.
In that place, too, when I got in, after the spider web dinner, there was the floor. So I walked in and I put my foot down, and the floor went whoop. It was like the Money Pit. Remember that movie?
Yeah.
It was like that.
That's got to be scary, too.
Yeah, I thought I was going to go through the floor, then I'll be liable for the damage.
Yeah, right? You're like,
I'm like,
what just happened here?
Mm-hmm.
That's
I was
crazy.
like, man, what's going on in this place? And I turned around, I looked at him, and I went, do we need to see more? He went, no.
Maybe if that 50, we dropped to 0.
Yeah, can we drop it to 0? Actually, can you pay me to buy the place?
Yeah, right. So, and now in Washington Township, what is the normal like house that people are looking for? What's the norm? Like, what's that look like?
I want to say anywhere from on the lowest end about 250, higher ends like 500.
Mm-hmm.
Generally speaking, anything above that, you're kind of looking at a little bit more luxurious houses for that area.
Sure,
it's quite expensive. But you know what I noticed? The further north you go, the more expensive it gets.
Yes.
But there's some anomalies like down south and that. Like Washington Township can be expensive. People really like Blackwood for some reason, which I like Blackwood. It's cool, but it's a reasonable market. Mount Holly, that's another good one. One of my very first clients that moved into Mount Holly, they had a house. It's your one-story rancher, costs $350, but it sits on an acre of land, so that's why.
That's nice though, and have a nice acre of land.
Oh yeah.
So, all right, cool. So now, what kind of talk about some of the struggles, because it was, to the point that it took multiple times to pass tests. But like, what's your advice? What's your kind of your thought process on being an entrepreneur? The grit behind getting going.
Well, I'll tell you what. It took a very long time to develop this kind of mindset. Because ever since I was a kid, I knew I was like I'm probably a bit different from your average guy. You
knew that right then.
Yeah.
I mean, the
I
haircut.
did not. Yeah. Oh yeah.
The beard. They got the whole.
Oh, I'll tell you the tale behind the haircut
All right.
soon. You'll love that. But when I was a kid, I knew I was a bit different from those around me. And I always felt different. And I suspect most entrepreneurs do. But as I grew up, I saw folks struggle a lot, and I saw just a lot of like anger and hostility, and that was bred by that struggle. And I didn't want to be that. I absolutely didn't want to be that. So, and I always like to have fun too. I messed around as a kid a lot.
Yeah.
And I was like running around, smoking and drinking and doing bullshit. But after a while, you realize this is not viable. This is not good.
Not a sustainable solution.
And no, not at all. And so I faced a lot of adversity. I faced depression, time and time again.
That's tough.
Very, very tough. But now, oddly enough, I kind of, if any hardship comes, I actually welcome it, because I know that right on the other side of that is exactly what I want. And that feeling of overcoming something is just chef's kiss.
Yep, sure. And so how did the haircut come to be?
Oh, man. So
and what do people in real estate say when they first meet you with that haircut?
Some people are a little bit put off by it, but I think it shows a bit of like the human side and a bit of honesty, that I like to display and respect to folks. But yeah, some people are like, yeah, that's the guy that I want.
On the graphic side, you fit right in. I mean,
yeah, that's I could pull a starving artist thing off. But what happened with this was I had a wedding to go to, right? And my entire life, my dad has been a barber, and he's still alive, God bless him. He's been cutting my hair forever, and he knows how to do a proper, I went with a fade. Regular hair here, faded up to here. But this time I had to go to someone else because I was on a time crunch. So I said, I just do a bald fade. I said, okay, no problem. What he did was put a line around the top of my head and just bam, shaved everything below the line. And I'll tell you what, I looked like I was just wearing a hat, like a hat of hair. And I went to the wedding, and my girlfriend's brother, he was like, he walked up behind me, and he goes, nice hat. And I went, this is the end. This is it. I said, dude, from the back, I looked like a blacksmith's thumb. Like, it was terrible.
That's funny. So then you just said, we're done here.
Yeah, I said, this is the end. I went home, and I was just like, you know what? I love punk music. I love ska. And guess what's happening? Mohawk time.
How long have you had the mohawk?
It has only been like a month.
All right, but you like it.
I love it. I absolutely. It's so low maintenance. The best you got to do is just shave around it. Done.
Yep. So you're sticking with this.
Yeah, you bet.
That's fair.
Until it gets unreasonable.
Yeah. So now you've overcome depression, and you feel like you have that beat now.
You bet. Absolutely.
I mean, you don't look like a guy who's depressed. It looks like you're the kind of guy that kind of takes on any challenge.
You know what? That's the fun part. You know what they say about the funny guys, right?
What do they say?
That they're the most depressed. But it's not always true. It's obviously.
Yeah, I don't think I'm depressed.
No, you don't seem depressed at all.
I am the funny guy too.
You bet. Hell yeah.
If we were sitting behind the camera, we've been telling jokes. We'd both be funny.
We'd never stop laughing.
Yeah, there you go. So, all right. So I mean, you overcome grit. You've overcome your depression. You've overcome passing a test. You've now in 3 different businesses. So kind of tell the audience kind of like how you see the 2025 and beyond, like for your future of who you want to be out there.
Well, I'll tell you what. For the very first time in my life, I can say it's bright.
Good. That's
absolutely
great. That's awesome. That's fantastic. So, I mean, you want to continue to just see successes in all that you're doing. And, some of the guys in real estate try to build out teams. Are you looking to do that, or are you staying for yourself?
For the moment, I'm just staying for myself. But in the future, when I'm a bit more established and, that time absolutely is coming, then I might have to branch out into that, because it might be a lot to handle.
Yep. I think if as the team grows and everybody's doing their part, it could end up being a little bit easier for you.
No doubt about it.
So that's great. So now let people know. I mean, you have 3 businesses. So how would people find you if they want to connect with you? So as we wrap up today, tell people like where the best way to find you online is, and if maybe it's social media, maybe it's Instagram. What's the best for it?
I'm hiding in your closet. No, I'm joking. The best way to find me is on Instagram or Facebook. Facebook would be preferred. My name is Mark Endres. That's MarkEndres. Or you can, find me on Instagram. It's Mark the Realtor.
Okay.
Or no, I'm sorry, Mark Endres Realtor.
Okay.
And my phone's 609-315-3500. I'm pretty much awake all the time. You can call. Sometimes what I like to do, I call working from bed. It'll be like 8 o'clock in the morning. I might not be exactly awake yet.
Yep.
I'll get a call and I'll go, hey, yeah, how are you? Yeah, I've been awake. No, it's fine.
I love it. So this was great. Thanks for coming in, and thanks for getting on the podcast. I know we've been friends through Facebook, and you found us through a Facebook group, which is awesome. It means John over there did his work to make sure that it was promoted properly. So great job, John. We'll give John Gigangi a shout out to this morning. And I look forward to hearing about future successes.
Absolutely, and I appreciate you having me on. It was
bet.
great.
It was great. Have a great day.
You as well.